Because think about how stinky it was to be dissecting a body in the Renaissance, right? In the
Do you know what a
1300s.
dead body smells like?
Like a dead body.
No, take yes.
Like a dead body. It's like rotting. It's like fermented flesh and
A
everything.
dead body smells like a fart.
That's a bad fart.
No, that's what a dead body smells like. It's a fart.
Maybe a fresh one after its bowels were incapacitated.
They just disintegrate. They smell like a fart.
Yeah.
I have found dead bodies.
The ancient Egyptians, they did wonders with them. They would take out their vital organs through the nose. They would take out everything through the nose.
Why?
Or they take the brain out through the nose. Instead of cracking open the head to take the brain out, they would stick a tool up the nose and crack to make a bigger hole back here, and then they would literally pull out the brain through the nose.
Why?
To preserve it. They take the brain out, they'd put it in a canopic jar, seal it up, so they can eventually mummify the body. Because if you mummify the body with all its organs in it, the body would basically explode. Because of the decomposition process, everything bloats up. And if you try to wrap it up in linens with that and try to bury it, it would blow up eventually. They have a mummy with like his rib cage.
I have found dead bodies, and they smell like a fart.
They smell bad.
They smell like a fart.
Like rotting flesh. Cooked flesh.
From the outside.
Something unique about it.
Now the neighbor did. Actually, she was standing up.
How was she standing up?
Rigor mortis.
What do you mean it's like standing up on 2 feet? What? How is that possible?
Rigor mortis.
But how did she not fall over when she died?
No. She got up after she was dead.
What?
She moved. She got up and then she went into rigor mortis.
So she was a mummy.
She got stiff.
So she was a zombie.
Very weird. Yes, but we get stiff for a while.
I know rigor mortis. Usually right when you die, you get rigor mortis. And it sets in more and more and more.
Yeah, it takes a while for different people. Depends on your chemistry.
And it depends on the temperature as well. It depends on the temperature as well. So, you're joining, you're joining me. You listen to our interesting conversation here. Again, my name is Diallo, and welcome. Today we're doing current events because it was an eventful weekend like always. And today is Monday, October 12th, 2020. Isn't that crazy? 2020, man. So we're going to look at some from the East Bay Times here, just some stories, some local stories, some international stories about what's going on in the world today on this Monday, October 12th, 2020. This, the day of my daughter's wedding.
Olé!
Mafia boss. So what brings you here today on the day of my daughter's wedding? Oh, I make myself laugh. I make myself laugh. So we're going to start with coronavirus. And this one is about movie theaters. Bay Area movie theaters hammered by latest blows.
Oh, yeah.
Like many entrepreneurs and film fans, Arinda theater operator Derek Zimrak held onto the hope that people would finally feel safe going back to the movies around Thanksgiving when the No Time to Die was due to be released in the theaters. No Time to Die? What kind of movie does that sound like? It sounds like the same kind of movies like Octopussy, Goldfinger, James Bond. No Time to Die. But last week, the potential billion-dollar James Bond blockbuster was pushed back to 2021, joining a cascade of other delays, including Dune, Wonder Woman 1984, and Black Widow. Meanwhile, Emeryville's Pixar announced Thursday was putting off the theoretical release of Soul, and instead will begin streaming it on its Disney Plus on Christmas Day. The delay struck a major blow to U.S. movie exhibition industry and have ended any chance of salvaging a movie year ravaged by the COVID-19 pandemic. The delays also complicated an already dire situation for Zimrak and other operators of struggling Bay Area movie houses. In Zimrak's case, he could reopen, but his independent three-screen venue needs two money-making films a week to cover operating costs. But there are other reasons he has decided to stay closed right now. I think in general, we're just not rushing to reopen because we want to make sure it's safe, Zimrak said. Among other things, he feels protective. He feels protective of his theater's loyal patrons who have donated more than $130,000 to a GoFundMe campaign to keep the nearly 80-year-old venue afloat. The last thing he wants is for people to get sick at his neighborhood theater. Wow. Isn't that crazy? Theaters can't open. What was the last movie you've seen? Well, nobody wants to go to the movies because they're scared that they're going to get sick because you're in an enclosed space with a bunch of other people, all breathing the same dirty air.
They ventilate the air.
They do, but it's not good enough, I guess.
It's full of poo.
Full of people's farts.
That's disgusting. Fart theater.
Storm damage. Louisiana pledges to rebuild after back-to-back hurricanes. Back-to-back hurricanes in the space of 6 weeks left parts of Louisiana blanketed Sunday with tarpaulins, mangled metal, and downed power lines, but not necessarily despair. Utility crews fanned out across the battered southwestern part of the state to restore electricity in the wake of Hurricane Delta, and residents began returning home along roads lined with debris and houses missing roads. Some are grateful that the damage was not as bad as it could have been. A 70-year-old woman in Iberia Parish died in a fire likely caused by a natural gas leak following damage from Hurricane Delta, the Louisiana Department of Health said Sunday. Louisiana officials also blamed the death of an 86-year-old man on the hurricane. The St. Martin Parish resident died in a fire that erupted after he refueled a generator in a shed, Governor John Bell Edwards said. He said it didn't appear the generator had cooled down before the man refilled it. A third storm-related death was reported in Florida, where a 19-year-old tourist from Illinois drowned after getting caught in a rip current caused by the storm off Destin, authorities said. Roughly 350,000 customers in Louisiana remained without power 2 days after Delta blew ashore near the town of Creole with winds of 100 miles per hour, slamming a part of the state still recovering from Hurricane Laura's 150-mile-an-hour onslaught on August 27th. Laura was blamed for 32 deaths, many of them caused in the storm's aftermath by carbon monoxide poisoning from generators. Ooh, terrible.
It's tough.
That is tough, huh? Next one is from the Supreme Court. Nominee Barrett draws on faith, family, and remarks. Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett vows to a justice fearless of criticism and a split Senate charges ahead with confirmation hearings on President Donald Trump's pick to cement a conservative court majority before Election Day. Barrett, a federal appeals court judge, draws on faith and family in her prepared opening remarks for the hearings, which began Monday as the country is in the grips of the coronavirus pandemic. She says, courts should not try to make policy, but leave those decisions to the government's political branches. She believes she would bring a few new perspectives as the first mother of school-aged children on the 9-member court. Trump chose the 48-year-old judge after the death of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a liberal icon. I have been nominated to fill Justice Ginsburg's seat, but no one will ever take her place, Barrett says in her remarks to the Senate Judiciary Committee. The Associated Press obtained a copy of her statement on Sunday. Barrett says that she has resolved to maintain the same perspective as her mentor, the late Justice Antonin Scalia, who was devoted to his family, resolute in his beliefs, and fearless of criticism. Republicans who control the Senate are moving at breakneck speed to seat Barrett before the November 3rd election, in time to hear a high-profile challenge to the Affordable Care Act and any election-related challenges that may follow the voting. Another reason for moving quickly, it's unclear whether the election results would make it harder to confirm Barrett before the end of the year if Democrat Joe Biden were to win the White House and Democrats were to gain seats in the Senate. The hearings are taking place less than a month after the death of Ginsburg the hearings are taking place less than a month after the death of Ginsburg gave Trump the chance to entrench a conservative majority on the court with his third justice. And Democrats have pressed in vain to delay the hearings, first because of the proximity to the election and now the virus threat. No Supreme Court has ever been confirmed so close to the presidential election. The country will get an extended look at Barrett over the next 3 days, beginning with their opening statement late Monday and hours of questioning Tuesday and Wednesday. Barrett is telling senators that courts are not designed to solve every problem on every wrong in our public life. Policy decisions and value judgments of governments must be made by the political branches, he said in the prepared remark. The public should not expect courts to do so, and courts should not try. Interesting. So she's got nominated for the Supreme Court. She has 7 kids, 40 years old, 7 kids. 2 of them are adopted from Haiti. Interesting, huh? Mm-hmm. Let's look at some local news. Let's see what we got at the local level. Here we go from San Francisco. A report. Water blast knocked California firefighter over rail. I wonder what that means. San Francisco. A San Francisco firefighter who died last week was knocked over a 3rd-floor railing by a water blast from a valve he had inadvertently opened during a training exercise, authorities said in a preliminary report. Firefighter Jason Cortez, 42, was participating in training drills Wednesday when he was injured. The married father of 2 died an hour later at a hospital. Fire officials previously described his death publicly as a training accident. The fire department on Sunday released a copy of the preliminary investigation's findings to the Associated Press. KNTV first reported the day before. The tragedy may have been compounded by confusion about protocols designed to limit the spread of coronavirus. According to the copy of the 5-page report, only four firefighters, half the typical amount, participated in Wednesday's punctual exercise meant to train a rookie. For reasons that aren't known, Cortez left other firefighters who were dousing a simulated fire on the 3rd floor of the training tower and went to a fire escape. And the report stated, there he inadvertently opened a valve, possibly intending to drain water that did not have a hose connected to it, and a stream flowed out as much as 100 pounds per square inch pressure, knocking him off the railing. Oh, wow.
That's the shit.
Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. You know the cartoon Mafalda?
Never heard of it.
Joaquin Salvador Lovato, the Argentinian cartoonist known as Guano, who created a comic strip about an irreverent girl named Mafalda, whose unique view of daily life and politics made her beloved across Spanish-speaking countries, died September 30th at his home in Luan de Coya, Argentina. He was 88. So a guy who makes comic strips. Wow.
Right.
Lived a full life. Lived a very full life. All right, let's see what else we got here. Lots of petitions in here. A legal advisory. If you want legal help, there you go. Where's my normal thing I read? Where are you? Here you are. Animal life. Why are birds ignoring a fine new feeding station in Walnut Creek? Dear Joanne. So these are people that write to Joanne Morris, a columnist, and she answers them. So, dear Joanne, perhaps you could shed some light on the mystery we have going on in our backyard. A few months ago, when the pandemic situation started, we went into lockdown situation. I decided to sand and paint a wood bird feeder. It is a 6-sided gazebo style with 6 openings and small landing pads. I finished it and placed it, hanging it in the yard next to a fountain that is frequented by many birds to bathe and drink. It is also used by hummingbirds. The bird feeder dangled in the yard for over a month and not a single bird ventured into it. Thinking it might be the location, I moved it to the top of the fence that separates the yard from a wall of shrubs and trees that house many birds. The feeder has been in that location for a month with the same results. No visitors. Not a single bird has even ventured near it. What do you think the problem is? Here's what Joanne wrote back. Dear Richard, the bird feeder sounds like a dandy one, and if I was a bird, I'd certainly find it an attractive place to dine. But as they say in the real estate game, of which I know nothing, it's all about location, location, location. Birds can be picky about where they eat because it can be a vulnerable time for them. They have to keep one eye out for predators, so if it doesn't feel safe to them, they won't come. They don't really care for feeders too near a water source because there are too many birds around, attracting predators. Moving the feeder to the top of the fence likely put it in an area that was too exposed. Birds like a bit of cover with places nearby where they can make a quick escape should a cat or a hawk wander by. Of course, they don't want too much cover, which could work against them to allow a predator to conceal its presence or allow a squirrel to jump from the tree to the feeder. The general rule is to avoid open places that are too concealed or nosy areas. Feeders should be placed at eye level, yours, not the birds, or slightly above. A shepherd's hook placed away from the fountain and close but not too close to a tree or bush or hedge should earn your feeder a 5-star review. So how about that? All right, so our next one is going to be news of the weird. Okay, news of the weird. So something weird that happened around the world of the United States. This one's called Compelling Explanations. In June, Connecticut State Police investigating a December armed robbery arrived at the Kerrigan Correctional Center in Montville to obtain a DNA sample from Gregory Blue, 38, who accused police of planting his DNA before telling them a phlebotomist who took his blood years ago dropped his DNA at the scene via airplane. Wow. According to authorities, the Connecticut Post reported that the DNA sample matched, according to the arrest warrant, and on September 25th, Blue was charged with first-degree robbery and second-degree assault. So, wow. He said that his DNA was dropped at the location by a phlebotomist who dropped it from an airplane. How about that? Oh my goodness. How about that?
Incredible.
Isn't that crazy? Man. Hey, John. I'm going to move you just over here, okay?
No,
So we got a social distance.
that's okay.
That's okay? All right. Can you move a little bit, Wayne? Right there?
Oh,
Yep. Just right there. You're good. Just so we can social distance, okay? All right. Thanks for joining us, John. All right. So our last bit, we're going to do Today in History. So today, October 12th, in 1957, the Dr. Seuss Yuletide Tale, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, was first published by Random House. So how about that? October 12th, 1973, President Richard Nixon, can you grab that? All right. So again, October 12th, 1973, President Richard Nixon nominated House Minority Leader Gerald Ford of Michigan to succeed Spiro Agnew as vice president. October 12th, 1984, British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher escaped an attempt on her life when an Irish Republican Army bomb exploded at a hotel in Brighton, England, killing 5 people. I did not know that.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know she nearly was assassinated.
I think they kept it quiet.
Yeah. Well, that was during the whole IRA bombing stuff. When they went into independent, Ireland? They went to independent Ireland. So there was lots of bombings going on in England and Ireland from the IRA. October 12th, 1997, singer John Denver was killed in a crash of his privately built aircraft in Monterey Bay, California. He was 53. I remember that. I was like 11. I remember that. That was John Denver died in a plane crash. I do remember that. Mm-hmm. Anybody's birthday today that we would know of? Chris Wallace is 73. Hugh Jackman is 52. Kirk Cameron. You know who Kirk Cameron is? He used to be on Growing Pains TV show back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
He's 50. Man. So thank you everybody for joining me for our current events today. Hope you enjoyed it. I will see you next time. Again, my name is Diallo. And the 49ers lost this weekend, but the Raiders did win. Have a wonderful day. I will see you next time.
Ole.
You are welcome. Ole.